Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Usnul Afiko. You can call me Husnul. I am a student college at Win Antasyari Banjarmasin, Tarbiyah and Keguruan Faculty, majoring in Mathematics Education. In this video, I will discuss linear equation. We will start off solving portion of this chapter by solving linear equation. A linear equation is any equation that can be written in the form ax plus b equals 0, where a and b are real number and x is a variable. This form is sometimes called the standard form of a linear equation. Note that most linear equations will not start off in this form. Also, the variable might or might not be an x, so don't get to log it into always saying an x there. To solve linear equation, we will make heavy use of the following fact. 1. If a equal b, then a plus c equal b plus c for any c. All a is saying is that we can add a number c to both sides of the equation and now change the equation. 2. If a equals b, then a minus c equals b minus c for any c. As with the last property, we can subtract a number c for both sides of an equation. 3. If a equals b, then ac equals bz for any c. Like addition and subtraction, we can multiply both sides of an equation by a number c without changing the equation. 4. If a equals b, then a over c equals b over c for any non-zero c. We can divide both sides of an equation by a non-zero number c without changing the equation. This part forms the base of almost all the solving techniques that we will be looking, and in this chapter, so it's very important that you know them and don't forget about them. One way to think of these rules in the following: what we do to one side of an equation, we have to do to the other side of the equation. If you remember that, then you will always get this part correct. In this section, we will be solving linear equation, and there is a nice simple process for solving linear equation. Let's start summarize the process and then we will work an example. This process for solving linear equation. 1. If the equation contains any fraction, use the less common denominator to clear the fraction. We will do this by multiplying both sides of the linear by the LCD. Also, if there are variables in the denominator of the fraction in the TV values of the variable, which will give division by 0, as we will need to avoid those values in our solution. 2. Simplify both sides of the equation. This means clearing out any parentheses and combining like term. 3. Use the first fact about to get off term with the variable in them on one side of the equation, or combining into a single term of cost and a constant on the other side. 4. If the coefficient of the variable is not a 1, use the theorem of fact about. This will depend on just what the number is to make the coefficient a 1. Note that we usually just divide both sides of the equation by the coefficient if it is an integer, of multiply both sides of the equation by the reciprocal of the coefficient if it is a fraction. 5. Verify your answer. This is the final step and the most of the skewed step. Jadi this is probably the most important step in this process. With this step, you can know whether or not you get the correct answer long before your answer overlook at it. We verify the answer by plugging the result from the previous step into the original equation. It is very important to plug into the original equation since you might have made a mistake in the very first step that led you to an incorrect answer. Also, if there were fractions in the problem and there were values of the variable that keep division by 0, because the first step, it is important to make sure this one of these values didn't end up in a solution sheet. It is possible, as we will see, is an example to have this value show up in the solution sheet. Example, solve each of the following equation. 3 open bracket times x plus 5 close bracket equals 2 open bracket times minus 6 minus x close bracket minus 2x. Okay, next solution. For this problem, there are no fractions, so we don't need to worry about the first step in the process. The next step will to simplify both sides. So, we will carry out any furthers by multiplying the number term and then combine it like term. 3 open bracket times x plus 5 close bracket equals 2 open bracket times minus 6 minus x close bracket minus 2x. Then 3x plus 15 equals minus 12 minus 2x minus 2x. Then 3x plus 15 equals minus 12 minus 4x. The next step is go get all the x on one side and all the number on the other side. Which side the x is gone is up to you and will probably vary with the problem. As a rule of thumb, we will usually find the variables on the side that will give a positive coefficient. This is done simply because it is often easy to lose track of the minus second the coefficient, and so if we make sure it is positive, we won't need to worry about it. So, for our case, this will mean adding 4x to both sides and subtracting 15 from both sides. Note as well this while we will actually find those operations in these times, we normally do this operation in our head. 3x plus 15 equals minus 12 minus 4x. Then 3x plus 15 minus 15 plus 4x equals minus 12 minus 4x plus 4x minus 15. So 7x equals minus 27. The next step is to get a coefficient of in a form of the x. In this case, we can do this by separating both sides by a 7. So, x equals minus 27 over 7. Now, if we have done all of our work correct, x equals minus 27 over 7 in the solution of the equation. The last and final step is to then check the solution. As pointed out in the process of line, we need to check the solution in the original equation. This is important because we may have made a mistake in the very first step, and if we did and then checked the answer in the result. From that step, it might serve to indicate that the solution incorrect when the reality will be that we don't have to correct answer because of the mistake that we originally made. The problem of course is that with the solution that checking might be a little messy. Let's do it anyway. So 24 over 7 equals 24 over 7. So we did our work correctly, and the solution to the equation is x equals minus 27 over 7. Now, application of linear equation. We now need to discuss the section that most students had. We need to talk about application to linear equation, or put in other words, we will not start looking at story problem or word problem. Rock history students have had a taste. It is my belief, however, that the main reason for this is the students really do know how to work them. Once you understand how to work them, you will probably find that they aren't as bad as they may seem on occasion. So, we will start the selection of with a process for working application. Next, process for working story or word problems. 1. Read the problem. 2. Read the problem again. Okay, this might be a little bit overkill there. However, the point of the first two steps is that you must read the problem. This step is the most important step, but it is also the step that most people don't do properly. You need to read the problem very carefully and as many times as it takes. You are only done with this jump, then you have completely understood what the problem is asking you to do. This includes identifying all the given information and identifying what you are being asked to find. Again, it can't be stressed now that you have got to carefully read the problem. Sometimes a single word can completely change how the problem is worked. If you just skim the problem, you may well miss that very important word. 3. Represent one of the unknown quantities with a variable and try to relate all the other unknown quantities, if there are any, of course, to this variable. 4. If applicable, sketch a figure illustrating the situation. This may seem like a silly step, but it can be incredibly helpful with the next step on occasion. 5. For an equation that will relate known quantities to the unknown quantities. To do this, make use of known formulas, and often the figure sketched in the previous step can be used to determine the equation. 6. Solve the equation format in the previous step and write down the answer to all the questions. It is important to answer all the questions that you were asked. Often, you will be asked to several quantities in the answer, and the equation will only give one of them. 7. Check your answer. Do this by plugging into the equation, but also use intuition to make sure that the answer makes sense. Mistakes can often be identified by acknowledging that the answer just doesn't make sense. Let's starting off with a couple of fairly basic examples to illustrate the process. Not as well as at its point, it is assured that you are capable of probably fairly simple linear equation and so on. A lot of detail will be given of the equation solution step. The point of this section is more on the setup of the equation than the solving of the equation. Okay, next example. In a certain algebra class, there is a total of 350 possible points. These points come from 5 homework sets that are worth 10 points each, and 3 hour exam that are worth 100 points each. A student had received homework scores of 4, 8, 7, 7, and 9. And the first two exam scores are 28, and 83. Swarming the grades are assigned according to the standard class, and there are no weights assigned to any of the grades. It is possible for the student to receive an A in the class, and if so, what is the minimum score on their exam that will give an A? What about a B? Okay, next solution. Let's start off by defining P to be the minimum result score on the their exam. Now, let us recall how grades are set. Since there are no weights or anything on the grades, the grades will be set by first computing the following percentages. Actual point over total possible point equals grade percentage. Such, we are using the standard style. If the grade percentage in 0,9 or hectare, the student will get an A. Likewise, if the grade percentage is between 0,8 and 0,9, the student will get a B. We know that the total possible point is 350, and the student has a total point including their exam of 4 plus 8 plus 7 plus 7 plus 9 plus 78 plus 83 plus V equals 196 plus P. Smallest possible percentage for an A is 0,9, and so if V is the minimum result score on their exam for an A, we will have the following equation. 196 plus P over 350 equals 0,9. This is a linear equation that we will need to solve for V. 196 plus V equals 0,9 times 350 equals 315. Then V equals 315 minus 196 equals 119. So, the minimum result score on their exam is 119. This is our problem science. The exam is for only 100 points. In other words, the student will not be getting an A in the algebra class. Then we'll get a B. This is because the minimum percentage is 0,8. So, to find the minimum result solve on their exam for a B, we will need to solve 196 plus V over 350 equals 0,8. Solving this for V gives us 196 equals 0,8 times 350 equals 280. So, V equals 280 minus 196 equals 84. So, it is possible for the student to get a B in the class. All that the student will need to do is get at least an 80 on their exam. Okay, this is all my video. Sorry if there is a wrong, and thanks for watching.